welcome back to my channel. I am going to talk to you about weeks 31 and 32 in pregnancy number 2. So I did write down a lot of notes because I did have a couple new symptoms that I did want to go over with you guys. So please don't mind me looking down. So let's start off with weeks 31. At weeks 31, baby's about 16 to 17 inches long and 3.3 pounds. We're getting there. That kind of sounds a little bit too low. I think that maybe baby's a little bit bigger. Baby at least feels heavy, but you never know. At this time, at weeks 31, baby should be gaining about 200 grams a day. And I thought that was very interesting. At least for me, for my week 31, baby has been kicking so much. And it's not just kicks, it's like you can actually feel her just moving around and turning, and I don't know what she's doing in there, but you can actually feel it. You can actually see, not just little kicks or little bumps, or you can actually see the movement and try to figure out, what part of the body this is. And I think that that's so crazy. Aside from that, as you know, I mentioned, if you saw my last bump date, which or the extension of the last bump date, which is weeks 30 plus, or part 2, I had an increase in my nausea, a drastic increase, where I was having symptoms that I would have in the beginning of the pregnancy, which were, extreme nausea. The only thing, thankfully, is I didn't vomit or anything. I stayed on the declages, but I still was feeling that nausea. In standing, I was still feeling a little shaky and dizzy, and that stayed, and it carried over to weeks 31. A little better than week 30, but it's still there. And we talked about vertigo with my doctor, and I mentioned that in my extension of week 30. So if you're somebody that's been dealing with vertigo or dizzy spells, or just having a hard time later in the pregnancy, then you can go ahead and watch that video. I don't want to get into it too much for those of you who already seen it. So the nausea has subsided, but it's still there. I did have a doctor's appointment, and I didn't ask her, baby's measuring where baby needs to be, because she never tells me. She just says, okay, everything seems to be fine. And I was wondering, is she measuring a little over, a little under, just where she needs to be? Because I know all those things are fine. Baby is measuring fine. So she did say I'm measuring. I went 1 day shy from 32 weeks, sorry. And so baby was measuring at 32 weeks. So I am right on track. So it was at 31 weeks where we did go into the 3D 4D ultrasound, and I did it here in Beaumont, and it's a cute little location that we went to. And so if you're in Beaumont, I do recommend going there. It's ultrasound in motion, and I feel we were there for maybe an hour, and just looking at baby growing, she's so funny. And she didn't toss and turn too much in there, but she sure was playing with her feet a lot and tossing those up in the air, and I'm like, yep, I feel it. So that was interesting, and I did that at week 31. Let me get back into my symptoms though. Aside from the nausea, the vertigo, the dizziness, I gained an increase in appetite. I am hungry all the time. I was hungry all the time for weeks 31, and thirsty, really thirsty. But I will tell you this, I didn't really consider myself having any cravings, and I don't know if this is necessarily a craving, but you know, I'm not a fan of water. A lot of people are not, and I was eating and wanting a lot of ice because I was thirsty, my mouth was dry, and just the ice felt good, but I couldn't find that crushed ice anywhere, like the one that I had when I was in San Diego, and I showed you guys in a different, or it's in a video that I made about my trip in San Diego. So I went to Jamba Juice and they had like crushed ice, and it was so delicious. But my husband went to, what is it called? Sonic's, and I was like, wait, they're popular for slushies and stuff like that. They should have something to, you know, because I kept eating ice, and the ice was just like, you know, they're big cubes of ice, and like even when I would go to like the liquor store or, you know, the gas station, their ice is still big chunks of ice. So it was like biting, and I was like, you know what, this is not helping the vertigo, if that's what it is. So I tried Sonic slushies. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have tried it earlier. So good. I mean, the Jamba Juice was still a lot better because I didn't have to deal with like sweetness or anything like that while I didn't have any nausea at the time. But this time I was tasting the sweetness because I got real fruit slushy, which is the strawberry kind, which is good. I also tried their frozen lemonade, which is still slushy, but the strawberry one was, I recommend that. That did it for me. And so the first time I got like a little cup that was like this, and then the next time I made my husband go again, I had to wait 2 days. I was suffered for 2 days. And so then I was like, maybe this is a craving because I wanted it so bad. So finally I got that, and he brought me a big cup like this. So I enjoyed that, and I kept it for 2 days. I put it in the freezer, and when I took it out, I didn't put it way in the back. So when I took it out, you know, left it out maybe 10 minutes, and then it was back to slushy, and I was able to eat it, and it was so delicious. I just kept going back for it. And then I ordered it again. So that's one thing that that I experienced. I was very thirsty, but I didn't really necessarily want something to drink. I wanted ice, and the slushy was just heaven. I want another one. I went into the doctor's appointment, as I mentioned, and the doctor did my blood routine at weeks 30. Let's say 30 and a half. They did my blood work, and so this last appointment at 32 weeks, asked the doctor, you know, how my blood routine or my blood results came out, and she said they were fine, nothing to worry about. I'm not anemic. The one thing is my iron level were a little bit lower than she wanted to, so she did recommend that I buy iron pills, aside from the ones that are in my prenatals, because obviously it was a little too low, even though I'm still taking the women's 1 a day prenatal. So I think that is all for weeks 31. Weeks 32 is about the same. I had the same symptoms. And jump to weeks 32. My baby kicks so much more at weeks 32. Almost too much. My stomach has been sore. My ribs have been hurting. I have a little back pain here and there. And I have to pee so much more. It's ridiculous sometimes. I mean, I know that's just part pregnancy. Fun. So due to all of that, the back pain, the sore stomach, feeling her in my hip, turn to the other side, and still, you know, I feel like, okay, she moved over and decided, okay, now I'm going to go and lay in this hip, or just stretch, you know, so long. And so I feel her in like both hips, and then just I feel her everywhere, or whatever she's pushing in my ribs, or if she's in my ribs. But I'm getting no sleep at all. There's some days that I wake up every hour. There's some days where I go to sleep maybe at 12, and I'm up at like every 2 hours, or If I do get to sleep from, 12 to 4, that's amazing. But then there's days that I just wake up at 6 and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be up yet. So I don't get too much sleep, but it's okay. I'm not too tired the next day or in the morning, so it's fine. The one thing that I have noticed at 32 weeks, I have been very itchy, very, very itchy. Like throughout the day I'll be itchy here and there, but at night I'm very itchy, and it starts off with my arms, my legs, my face, which I believe is weird, my neck, and I think it's weird. But what I'm trying to pay attention is if my palms and my feet are itchy, which sometimes they are, but I'm just trying to pay attention to how much, how often, and where it starts off, because of cholestasis. A lot of people are not aware of it. It was brought to my attention my last pregnancy because I did have a lot of itchiness, and it would start my hands, my palms, and my feet. I would drag my feet to scratch because they were so itchy. I would scratch my skin like so hard I felt like it was gonna rip off. And so I did get tested to check my bile acids to see if they were off or too high. And then I have another video on that, which I do need to re-upload, since I mentioned previously I had some issues with my YouTube. So all my previous videos are gone. But I'll upload that because I think it's very important, and a lot of people are not aware of cholestasis, whether it be obstetric or whatever. But that's all for week 31 and 32. 32 weeks, I didn't have very many more symptoms from weeks 31. Weeks 30 and 31 were pretty hard. Weeks 32, as I said, the nausea subsided. But I have been experiencing, there was 2 days that I was not able to stand for very long. And, I still had to cook. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. Other than that, week 32 has been a lot better than weeks 30 and 31. But hopefully, that's just a sign that we are getting better. I'm going to progress, and from here on out, it's going to be smooth sailing. And in my head, I just started singing "Smooth Operator." But let me just go ahead and show you my bump and let you guys go and get to your day. So let me show you this jolly belly. So here's a shot of here's the shot of the belly in the front. Pretty big today. Side. And then here is my stomach inside. Don't mind my pants, I'm cleaning today. It's pretty stretched out. So that's the bump. Hopefully we see baby soon. Hopefully I see you soon. And go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Have a good day.